been covering this league for 57,000 years.
6,000 years.
Yeah. I don't mean this as like a pop shot.
Fine.
How different it is. Like, when did you find out? Would the team like call fax?
I remember the day that all of a sudden the Bills said, we are releasing Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, and Andre Reed. I think they faxed us. Like, there's no social media. There's no internet. Like, I don't know if
the carrier pigeon dropped it.
I was calling people.
Now, from the Connors and Ferris podcast studio, this is the Buffalo Plus podcast.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Buffalo Plus podcast, located inside the beautiful Connors and Ferris podcast studio. He's Mike Catalana. I'm Dan Fates. Jenna Cottrell.
Vacation, Jenna.
Enjoying some sun in Florida.
And family time.
Yes, already it's going splendidly from what she's telling us. Our reports are that Jenna is having a great time just getting picked up from the airport.
See if you can figure that
out. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate this as always. Okay.
Hold on. Who am I, Dan? Who am I? I have a cell phone.
So does Adam Schefter.
Oh my God. Seriously, Shefty. You're great at your job, but like they show him with the cell phone like he has the nuclear codes. Like agents are texting you information about free agents. Can we settle down a little bit?
So we are recording this at 4:11 on Monday. So there will be plenty of us looking down at our phones because we've waited as long as we can all day.
We have phones too.
Yes. We've waited all day to try and wait for some Bills news to happen before we recorded this video. So
yes.
When this video comes out, as soon as we're done recording it and things change, we will do our best to plan and change accordingly. But tons of stuff going on outside of Buffalo, Mike. And maybe we'll start with, and again, this is just kind of the rundown of where we will go for this video. And if you're watching and listening, wherever you are, but there will be a new backup quarterback in Buffalo, Mitch Trubisky to the Tennessee Titans. Yeah. Reggie Gilliam is now staying in the division, going to the rival, the New England Patriots. David Edwards is going to the Saints. There's also tons of moves elsewhere.
But let's start with the fact that the Bills made probably their two biggest moves before we even got to today. They put themselves in a good spot.
Yes.
They got McGovern signed, and they made the deal for DJ Moore. So they have a receiver, and they kept the key member. Now, you mentioned Edwards going. I think it was pretty fair to Brandon Beane to say, you're not going to be able to keep both of them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy that they kept McGovern. I think it's a great re-signing. I think Edwards is a really good player. Maybe internally they try to do that. Maybe they pick up a veteran. I don't know how they'll handle that. And then I think the next step they take there is getting Osiris Torrance on an extension.
Yeah.
They may very well be doing that soon.
Yeah.
So far, and again, you mentioned the times we're recording this, they've been really quiet. It's about guys going out the door.
Correct.
But they made two pretty good moves to get to this point, at least bigger moves to get to this point.
And I think one of the last videos that we did all together, we were talking about Connor McGovern and Tim Graham's story from The Athletic, saying that the Bills hadn't reached out to him. That sparked something, obviously, some conversations with the Bills.
They're like,
that deal.
Wait a minute, we haven't talked to this guy in a while.
Thanks, Tim. So give Tim some credit for that. Obviously, Josh Reed had his side saying that the Bills have spoken to him. So that obviously facilitated a deal to get done. Now Connor McGovern is the fourth highest paid center in football. So he is making major money. And I do think it's interesting to point out
I'm just looking at Tyler Linderbaum. This is wild, the amount of money.
The highest paid interior lineman in NFL history.
3 years.
And Baltimore didn't even pick up his fifth-year option.
3 years, $81 million, $60 million guaranteed. That's in U.S. dollars, right?
It is.
It's not Vegas dollars? Yeah. Is there something different in Vegas?
And I think it's interesting with David Edwards leaving. We all kind of knew that he had played himself in a good way out of Buffalo. And it reminds me of something of Connor McGovern's quote from Tim Graham's article in The Athletic. Connor McGovern said, the first thing Aaron Kromer said to me when I got to the Bills was, my job is to make you the best player so that when your contract comes up that the Bills can't afford you. That is what he tells to everybody. And to that, David Edwards did exactly that. Maybe not as much as we thought. It's about 15 million APY. So it is a big contract, but you can't pay everybody. While the salary cap isn't real, you can't pay everybody. So I thought that was a good deal for him.
Breaking news on a few pass rushers. Odafe Owe from the Chargers, 4 years, $100 million, 68 guaranteed with the Washington Commanders. So the pass rusher that, the Bills could have been in the mix on.
Yeah.
And then Boe Mafe, the guy from the Seahawks.
Yeah.
3 years, $60 million to go to the Bengals. So there's a bit of a rush on pass rushers.
Yeah.
Jalen Phillips already, not that he was in the Bills' plans,
right,
got a huge deal already.
But as we mentioned before, as far as other players going out, Mitch Trubisky gets 2 years to reunited with Brian Daboll in Tennessee. That makes sense to me. We kind of were spitballing around who the backup quarterback in Buffalo will be.
Come on, it should be Tua. I'm just kidding. Wouldn't that be wild?
It'd be very funny.
Come play in cold Buffalo, Tua. Somebody's getting Tua cheap.
Yeah, we were saying it could be Arizona, Minnesota, or the Rams.
I like the Rams for him as a backup.
Yeah.
$99 million dead cap.
Dead cap's kind of real. I'll say that. Dead cap is kind of real. We were throwing around our names.
Yeah.
I think with where the Bills are roster-wise and where they are salary cap-wise,
right,
I just don't see them paying $4 or $5 million for a backup quarterback. It just doesn't make sense. We disagree because you like the fact of a backup quarterback who thankfully hasn't really had to play. You want them to be able to hold the fort down for a game, a drive, something like that. But my thought was Mike White.
Yeah, you could. You would get him very cheap.
Yeah.
Here's the way I look at backup quarterbacks. If you have an older quarterback, that's, for example, when you look at the Rams, as good as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And Stafford's been pretty healthy since he's been with the Rams, but he's had some moments. You want a guy. I think that's a little closer to what the Bills are doing. I do think another quarterback may look and say, maybe it's the last year for Stafford, and if I show anything as a backup, I'm just bringing that up. Then there's when you have the young quarterback. Sometimes when they're really young, you want the backup that is a veteran that is like, if this kid's not ready, we can play him. I think with the Bills, I think the reason you only spend some money, but it's got to be smart money, I think when you need that backup quarterback, Dan, it is for 2 series. It is for 1 game. It is for a third quarter, a half. Like when you have a game, you got to get through.
Yeah.
And you're right. The Bills have not had to do that. But if, Josh has had so many things that probably would have knocked a mortal out for a couple of games, but he plays through them. But I'm talking about and I think Mitch was that guy.
Sure.
I think Mitch could get you through that. You can win with Mitch. You don't win because of Mitch.
Correct.
But you do need somebody that can do that. And right now, I don't know who it is because some of these guys, Marcus Mariota's getting $7 million with a chance to get 11. Bills aren't giving him that kind of money.
No. So that's where I don't want to waste $7 million on a backup quarterback that plays week 17 in best case scenario. So that's the backup quarterback market. Obviously good for Daboll to have some pull there because he also got Wan'Dale Robinson to go to Tennessee as well.
Can we go back to the Reggie Gilliam thing?
Yeah, absolutely. We were going to go down the list.
Okay. That's what I was just going to say. Like, I'm happy for the guy. Kind of sucks that he's going to the Patriots just because it's a smart move by the Patriots. They have the cap space and the money. I won't say overpay. Guy deserves his money, but it's a lot of money to pay somebody who's a fullback and a special teams guy. But they're in that position right now that they have extra money. They have money to spend.
Yeah, and that's it for me is that you hear, especially this past year when the running game was so pivotal. The tush push became so pivotal for 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 for the Bills. And Reggie was that guy. And you heard, Josh talk about him and James Cook talk about him and the offensive line and even Joe Brady and Sean McDermott. They raved about Reggie Gilliam, the player and the person. And it's not only that, it's kind of like when it was Mac Hollins the year before, who also went to the New England Patriots. But it was that fact of like, it's 2 players in one. He was a key piece of the running game.
Right.
And then he was a core special teamer. So that's another hole that you need to fill. Now, I did see somebody throw out the option, which I didn't hate. Does this expand Jackson Hawes's role as an H-back? Do we see him now where...
I'd love to see that.
Does all of a sudden, does he come out wearing 45 this year?
Yeah.
Like, does he change his role a little bit? And maybe that's somewhere they think they can get him on the field more. So that's all possibilities. Those are all things that we're not in the building making those calls.
Well, but at the moment we're recording this, we don't know what they're doing with Dawson Knox.
Correct.
And that, I would think, my guess would be it's a redone deal and they have him there. But let's see how it plays out. The rest of free agency, I guess.
All right. So here's the other big thing that I was kind of fired up about. And as this day went on, Michael Pittman gets traded to the Steelers because Alec Pierce gets a massive, the biggest free agent contract given out to a wide receiver in NFL history.
Jerry Rice, he is. No, I don't think Jerry Rice, well, he eventually was. Alec Pierce gets 4 years, $114 million, $80 million guaranteed.
For a guy that has never caught more than 47 passes in a season.
Yeah.
I like Alec Pierce. I think he has a special trait. It's something that I've always talked about is I like guys that can do that excel at one thing. It's the pitcher in baseball that has the 102 mile per hour fastball. He gets deep down the field. He takes the top off of defenses. That is just a ton of money, in my opinion, to pay for somebody that, again, you talk about it, and it's really important to stress and reiterate here is the fact of you get paid in the NFL for what you're going to do, not what you have done. So obviously the Colts putting a lot of faith in Alec Pierce.
And and in fairness to the Colts, he's been in their building
for 4 years.
So they're not bringing somebody in from the
he's
outside.
only 25.
Yeah, he's the age. This is why these guys, it's funny. Our friend Carl Jones saying is probably the best free agent wide receiver in the last decade. They don't get to free agency, not
Correct.
at 25 years old.
Correct.
Like Mike Evans, and we'll talk about him. He was a free agent, but he's an older player.
Yeah.
Like that happens with those players. So they're taking a shot. It's interesting you say that about paying a guy for what they can do, because with DJ Moore, you're hedging that in a way because you know what he's done.
Correct.
And that's a positive because you have seen him do it. The question is, how much more of that are you getting over the next 3 years?
So that's my question, because Alec Pierce, the signing happens. Michael Pittman gets traded in a late round swap to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We still have to figure out what late round is because we all thought DJ Moore was a mid-round pick and ended up being a second. So we still haven't gotten the details as the time.
7th round, our friend Sal Majorana would say,
doesn't matter.
Those
doesn't
picks
matter.
are ridiculous.
But that is where, again, I feel like I do want to, the more I've thought about it, the more I've thought about the DJ Moore trade over the last few days is I'm allowed to reserve my judgment and change my opinion and thoughts on the DJ Moore trade when we see what the contract gets restructured to be. Okay. Right. If this contract gets restructured, but as of right now, it's 3 years, $74 million as Albert Breer was saying. I think that's high when you're also giving up the second round pick because the extension and the re-signing that the Steelers gave Michael Pittman, who's also 28 years old now, will be 29 next season, Jenna. I know you're watching this.
That's how age works.
Okay. He gets 3 years, $59 million. We don't know the guaranteed money yet. Again, take all of this stuff with a grain of salt because we are hearing literally press releases from agents. Okay. That's what Schefter's doing. That's what all the insiders are doing. But I bring that up because I say, I believe, and I don't know anybody that would really argue the other side. I know DJ Moore is a better player than Michael Pittman. No question. But if there's a scenario that you could have DJ Moore for $23 million a year or Michael Pittman for $20 million a year and have a second round pick, it becomes a lot tougher of something to say one way or another.
See, I'm a firm believer that the Bills should not have been giving up that high of a pick.
Agreed.
I think they could have made the same deal and for a lesser pick. Now, I say that not knowing nobody's going to tell us what the competition was for DJ Moore.
Agreed. And from our reports and from what we were hearing and the source that we checked with, they did check in on A.J. Brown. They did check in on Alec Pierce. They were never going to pay Alec Pierce that money.
Meant more of who else was in on DJ Moore.
Correct.
That pushed up what the Bears. I think the Bears were very happy to get that compensation.
Right. So that's where I go back to it. And I said, would you rather have DJ Moore in his contract or Michael Pittman in his contract? But you would also have your second round pick.
Yeah.
That's where we kept saying that. I go, I like the player. I like all the. Was it too much to give up considering all that was out there? And you did it before free agency. So there are so many times where I sit there and I say, sign the player, extend the player before they get to the market, because then you get into a bidding war.
Right.
And we don't know what the bidding war was for DJ Moore.
Yeah.
It just felt like a lot where you're sitting there going, where is Michael Pittman in comparison to DJ Moore? Because I don't think, you said they're on different tiers. I agree, but I don't think they're on that much different tiers where one gets a late round swap and one's a second round pick.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this. I'm sure Brandon Beane wanted to address it and not let it go to the chaos that can happen the first days of free agency, because you never know who's going to step in there. I'm going to hold to this. I'm going to say, I think it's an overpay compensation wise. I'm probably right now more concerned with the draft pick. I would have loved him to keep it.
Agreed.
The money is going to hit him. And it's just because they have spent so much money on the wide receiver position up to this point and not gotten it. But I'm going to say this. I do like the fit of the player, and maybe more than even Michael Pittman, but I would have taken Michael Pittman too.
If you could have your second round pick. And for everybody that was chiming in saying, well, Beane's terrible in the first 2 rounds anyway.
That's bullshit anyhow. I would say, look at what he's done. I'm going to give him this. You got Osiris Torrance. You've got James Bishop, and you got James Cook in the second round.
That's pretty good.
3 of their, 6 best players?
Yeah, top 10. Yeah.
It's pretty, 10. Yeah, definitely. Maybe I was a little ahead. 3 of their top 10.
Yeah.
Players.
So again,
that's
this
pretty
thought
good
of,
in that,
well, Beane's playing 3D chess because he doesn't need a second round pick because he's not good at it is bogus.
And
because
also, if you had your second round pick, you could have used your first round pick on a wide receiver.
So all of that goes into it. It's just comment in. And again, I know there are some people that I feel like no matter what, they have their foot in the ground already, 10 toes down, and they're saying, hey, we're absolutely love DJ Moore. He makes the wide receiver room better, which I agree.
I'm looking forward to watching him play. Yeah.
Same. But it's like what I said at the beginning of our last pod. Michael Pittman would have made the Bills wide receiver room better.
No doubt.
So I don't know if either of them, and like I said, you sit there and say, well, Michael Pittman had a down year. He had 80 catches for 800 yards. DJ Moore's down year was 50-something catches in 800 yards. So like
DJ Moore
has done more.
And his skill set maybe is better. But I will say also, Michael Pittman, who's throwing you the ball in Pittsburgh? Are they still waiting for him to come back?
They're still waiting for him. He'll announce that on McAfee.
He wants to impress his wife.
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
By the way, also breaking news. Not that we didn't know this. No compensatory picks for the Bills. Why does the league wait so long to announce this? I don't know. They do it. They do it today. By the way, just saying. Eagles got a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6.
F and Howie.
Only because they have been in a position that they've let good players go, like Milton Williams, and you get the comp picks. The Bills have never been. God bless Joe Buscaglia, man. That guy, he loves the comp pick formula. It basically should just be, Joe should just say, Bills aren't going to get any. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, right now, early on, we'll see. David Edwards goes towards the comp formula. So we'll see what ends up happening in the future. They've gotten 2 5ths and a 6th, I think, in their history with Brandon Beane.
So we touched on Linderbaum and the center market, which is going crazy. Do you want to go to Chiefs?
Do you think Linderbaum, when he got that from his agent, he thought it was maybe a bit of a typo? It's $80 million guaranteed for the center.
$60 million guaranteed. That was 60. I thought the deal was 80. Guaranteed.
No, I think it was 80.
This is good podcasting.
Tyler Linderbaum.
$80 million, 60 guaranteed.
That's right. He's 81. That's right, because it was only 3 years.
Correct.
3 years, 60 million guaranteed.
Okay. Tremaine Edmonds is going to the Giants, reunited with Joe Shane. He's still 22 years old. It is unbelievable.
Is Joe Shane making any decisions there?
No. Okay, do you want to go to the Chiefs next?
Sure. Because we can talk about the other teams that have made
moves. I want to speak this into existence right now. It is 4:30 now, and the Bills are hopefully signing Leo Chenal. I'll say that.
Yeah, I do think he's a guy for them. By the way, real quick, the other one I wanted to mention is I would have loved Mike Evans. Some of you think, he's always hurt. He's not always hurt. He was hurt last year. 10 straight seasons with 1,000 yards.
Hall of Famer.
He is leaving Tampa. He's going to the Niners. It seems like that's where he wanted to go.
Yep.
I mean, you think about it. You're Mike Evans. And while he'd want to win another Super Bowl, and he could do it in San Francisco, he's been playing in Tampa. Coming to Buffalo is a lot.
Yep.
And you're going there. He'll be their number one receiver, right? It's Ricky Pearsall.
Yep.
I mean, he's going to be their number one guy.
Yeah.
Because he's Mike Evans.
Yep.
So I would have liked him, but maybe the Bills were also aware of that in terms of, I know some of the people had said the Bills looked at trying to be in on anything because to your point, you sign Evans and you don't give up any assets. You
Correct.
Don't give up anything in a trade, but.
Yes.
Okay.
Moving right along, going off your notes. The Kansas City Chiefs have lost 3 players in their secondary on defense.
Well, McDuffie, they got the pick for,
right?
The 2 picks they got for Trent McDuffie.
Correct.
Then the Rams also signed Jalen Watson,
yep,
corner, and then
Brian Cooks,
the safety. So, and look, they've done this before, like when they let L'Jarius Sneed go.
Yep.
And they were still really good in the secondary.
Yep.
And
helps have
didn't
Spags.
do much.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of talented players to lose.
Yep, in one off season.
Secondary. Yeah.
Now they do add on offense. They had Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP. They were saying since 2018 that Patrick Mahomes has been the Chiefs' leading rusher. So if you think Josh Allen runs a lot, Patrick Mahomes is somehow leading that team in rushing yards.
They've never been able to stick with anybody. They always have what's his name? Pacheco and all these backs that they've had. Listen, if Kenneth Walker stays on the field, dude is a player.
Yeah.
Now, I do like the James Cook signing even more.
Correct.
For the Bills, because James might have been sitting there going, there might have been a little more cash for me out there.
Yeah.
But he got his money, and he ended up leading the league in rushing. But I do like that move for the Chiefs, especially when they don't know how Mahomes is going to be early in the year.
Yeah.
And Kelsey's coming back, which everybody knew that was happening anyhow.
Yes, Kelsey's back. Another, it's funny, I checked in with one of my sources just about...
One of my sources.
Well, just, I think there is so much to the connection that people are associating with the Broncos defensive players coming over to Buffalo, checking in on that. John Franklin Myers goes to the Tennessee Titans with Robert Saleh.
Is it real money in Tennessee too? They're just spending
well,
Dable.
They don't pay their quarterback.
That's right. Because once you pay your quarterback, you can't spend any money.
Just can't do it. Saints are signing everybody too. Obviously,
that is a fired up, bald coaching staff, man.
Which one?
Saleh and Dable.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So yeah, and then the Dolphins have cut everybody or traded everybody. Tua, Alec Ingold, their Pro Bowl fullback. Everybody is gone. And they signed Malik Willis.
So Tua, it's just insane amount of dead cap. But if I'm the Dolphins, I tweeted, it used to be tank for Tua.
Yeah. You
remember that when that was the case? Now it's tank from Tua.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's gone. They got Malik Willis. Maybe he'll be fine. They are trying to dump people. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think they're going to trade Jalen Waddle. You don't really hear anything.
Yeah.
They could do it. Next year is the year for the draft that everybody talks about. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I think we got 2 tanking teams still in the division.
Yeah, do you want to talk about the Jets? Because they improved their defense.
I said to Dan, just whatever the Jets do doesn't matter.
When does it matter?
When they're picking in the top 10 next year and trying to get Eli's nephew.
Derek Carr in New York would be funny.
Derek Carr, a big fan now.
Salary cap truther.
David and Derek Carr
both don't believe in the salary cap.
Yeah.
They're honorary. They're honorary members of Buffalo
we
Plus.
Gotta have them on.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Mike.
Yeah,
what you've been covering this league for 57,000 years,
6,000 years.
Yeah, what has the free agency been like over your time of covering?
So it went from no free agency, none. Like there was no free agency. Unless you're, like players. I mean, there was no like full on free agency. Teams had the rights to players and then they could re-sign them or cut them.
Yeah.
That's basically what they did. Then they went to this thing called Plan B free agency. And it was, I'm trying to even remember what it was, but I remember that's how the Bills got Bryce Popp. If you've ever heard that name, he came in, he had like 18 sacks that year. He was with Green Bay. He was crazy good that year. And it was the start of it. And I remember the first time guys could get free, the Eagles that year lost Reggie White and Keith Jackson. Like they lost major players. That's when Reggie White went to Green Bay. So in the old days, there was no like free agency period. Players, I mean, I guess technically at a certain point, and then they would cut them. Teams basically maintained their rights,
right,
and then could re-sign them. It was hard for players to leave. It also made it that teams stayed together,
correct,
a lot longer. And now it's kind of wild.
I don't mean this as like a pop shot,
fine.
But I mean, we think about how we were joking around about Schefter, how different it is. Like, when did you find out? Would the team like call fax?
So I'm trying to remember, like initially, I think I remember like certain days I remember. I remember the day that all of a sudden the Bills said, we are releasing Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, and Andre Reed. I think they faxed us. Or it came over the wire, like Associated Press. Somebody got the story. Like there's no social media. There's no internet. Like, I don't know if
the carrier pigeon dropped it.
I mean, I was calling people that we knew, but it was tough to get information. Sometimes probably we got some stuff from agents. That was before there was insiders and then ESPN and all of those things to try to find out information.
You had the Bledsoe. Did you have Bledsoe?
No, I had the Rob Johnson when the Bills were going to keep Rob Johnson and let Flutie go. People were so mad, but we had no social media to put it out. I think I put it out in our 5:00 newscast. There was nowhere to put it, but yeah, it was like, yes, they've made the decision, which by the way, that didn't work out too well.
Raiders are expected to sign the Colts defensive end Kwity Paye.
Oh, it's kind of a funny name.
Falcons are expected to make a strong push for Tua.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's the deal with that?
Oh, Falcons signing Tua.
Oh.
There's a strong push.
Well, they
1 year deal.
Yeah.
They're trying. They're
not terrible.
They're
play
collecting
in the dome in what has been a bad division, or at least a weaker division, and they got some dudes on that team.
Yeah, they're just going to collect all the lefties.
I don't mind that I don't mind that for Tua.
If you're a lefty, you're playing in Atlanta.
So there has to be teams that have had 2 left-handed quarterbacks through the years, right?
I mean, how many lefties are in the NFL?
I mean, like
Michael right Vick? Now.
No, how many are?
3 or 4?
Yeah, right now. But I mean, through the years, it would have had to been like, there was probably some coach who was like, I already have a lefty. I need another lefty as the backup.
Very funny. Anything else? I just wanted to get your take on how free agency has changed over the years.
Yeah, and again, I said it was just news was just from a very different place, the way it would come about. And honestly, back then, we fought. I can tell you guys this. Working at the TV station, right? If we got information, like we broke the story when Jim Kelly signed his first major deal with the Bills. He had signed with them initially, and then he signed the second one. And I can remember back then, we were competing with the newspapers. So we would a lot of times hold the story until later in the day. Maybe even sometimes you would break it and that one we didn't, but you would break it in your 11 o'clock news. So you had it and the paper was already going to print because that was your competition. The next day, like the paper would get printed in the morning.
Yeah.
Those guys were like, we got this in the paper, but then they had to wait till the next day to put anything out. So it's a very different world.
I'd say so.
It was very different. Now that's way back in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the Bills were for 20 years. Nobody really cared what they did. I can remember the Mario Williams things, making phone calls because they brought him in and they were trying. And it was a beautiful day. Wait a minute. Yeah. The Mario Williams was on a beautiful day and made Buffalo look awesome in like March. And he just wanted the money and they signed him for the money. I remember when they got Flutie. And I remember being like, because that was the year they got Rob Johnson. And I remember being like, he's been in Canada.
Yeah.
Like, you're really getting. And I went to the news conference and John Butler and they were all like standing there going, we're signing another guy. Like, they didn't want it to be known that they were only getting Doug Flutie.
Oh, okay.
And that's when they made the trade with Jacksonville to get Rob Johnson. And then they had the Rob Johnson one because Rob Johnson was that guy, and you've seen it, who played well at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then teams are like, oh, we're going to give this guy a shot because he was a USC quarterback. So, yeah, very different world.
Who? Green Bay quarterback. Oh, who did Russ beat out as a rookie? Matt Flynn. Green Bay,
another guy.
6-7 touchdowns in week 17, got a big contract by Seattle.
Green Bay was good at that with those quarterbacks. Like, they were always good.
Yeah.
It was, when Andy Reid was there as quarterbacks coach, and then you had Mariucci there. Like, they were always good at having that guy in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And Matt Flynn got himself paid, and then they ended up with Russ, and Russ won Russ was one of those first guys too that went like to a second school.
Correct.
He went to
he was at NC State for 4 years and then got the 5th year eligibility and went to Wisconsin, and they were great.
Great. Yep.
Monty Ball was the running back.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
And that may have been Sue's team too.
Yeah.
They were legit. They had all those guys running back wise. Appreciate it as always.
Yeah.
Anything else? I mean, again, now this is 4:43. I've tried to talk the Leo Chenault signing into existence. It has not worked. We will update accordingly over the next few days.
I got a shout out here for a second. Chris at, in case you know it, if you know,
Big Oak
Driving Range. Great place. Got my clubs there, ready to go on the senior tour. Chris said hi today, loves Buffalo Plus. He was hitting balls. He was striping them down the middle. So we talked a little Bills, and it's a beautiful day to hit golf balls.
I was at We The Hobby. I've had some sports cars. The house that we bought last year, it was a big sports collector, memorabilia. I have so much stuff that I'm still trying to get rid of and try and make a couple bucks off of it. And I went in there to sell a couple cards. And as I was leaving, the guy just goes, by the way, love the pod. And again, because I'm really bad at it, I didn't ask for his name. But
The Hobby guy.
Yeah, We The Hobby guy knows that that was it.
It's got a lot going on.
Gorgeous place.
Yeah.
If you're into sports cards and all that stuff in Rochester, that is the place to go. Let us know what your thoughts are so far at free agency. Again, Mike made a good point. Free agency should be 4 to 6. That's when you can announce signings, and then the next day it picks up at 9 a.m.
And by the way, let us know. I'm not disappointed in all at the moment with the Bills.
No.
Like I said, they made 2 big moves.
I want them to do something fun.
They will. And I think it's going to be defense. And I had said to you, and this may come later today, Monday, I think it's going to be guys who maybe a little under the radar.
Sure.
That Jim Leonhard is familiar with. And they bring them in. They draft accordingly. Because I really do think it's going to be another defense-heavy draft with this team.
Yep.
They pick a wide receiver in what round?
First. Man can dream.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry about the finger.
Yeah.
People get mad.
Also, one other thing we're just spitballing.
Did you take the shot?
Yeah, I've taken it a couple times.
Oh, okay. Look at that.
Maybe we'll tilt it down a couple next time, but there won't be Jenna here this week, so we're trying out a couple of new setups.
She may jump in.
Yes.
She has
made it very abundantly clear to us that she goes,
I have my computer.
I have my
microphone.
She's made that very clear.
But
she will 100% watch this.
Yeah. Let her enjoy your vacation.
Yes.
You deserve it.
But we have been throwing around the idea, and if you've made it this long in the video, really appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. As always, comment in with what you want to see in free agency. Comment in with your thoughts so far on the Bills are quiet for the start of the free agent frenzy.
Yeah.
I don't think that this means Beane is asleep at the wheel. That's not what I think this is at all. I think this is much more calculated. Again, Trey Hendrickson is still out there.
Yeah.
Like some of those pieces, it almost feels like you're waiting a little bit. Again, some Denver guys. And again, Leo Chennault was a Wisconsin guy. So yes, he was been with the Chiefs, but he's a Wisconsin familiarity with
and then there's
Jim
guys,
Leonhard.
It's got to be guys on the Broncos that he has a comfort level with.
Yep.
And that's usually what you see.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times, honestly, I think smart teams do in free agency. A little under the radar.
Sit.
Guys that can help you, and then you build from there.
Yeah.
But they're going to need a dude. They're going to need at least one dude for the defense.
But I wanted to pose this question, and this has just been something we've been throwing it out there. We've been talking about in the group text. Would you, all of our great subscribers and followers, people that have liked, commented, and subscribed, would you want a little Sabres episode of the Buffalo?
I was just going to say that.
Would you be interested in a little Sabres talk? Obviously, yesterday, amazing game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Probably one of the best. I had said, and I had tweeted out, I know people always, they're shocked when they hear that we're not Bills fans.
Yeah.
Right? I grew up a Sabres fan. Right. I grew up a diehard Sabres fan. I remember being a little kid going to BJ's and getting the Eastern Conference Championship shirt in 1999. Like I
covered that series.
Right. So I remember I was 8, but like that's when I was Michael Pekka and Dixon Ward, like those guys, like
Dixon Ward won a Calder Cup with the Rochester Americans.
And I have a picture of my dad taking me to Bathtub Billy's, woke me up after the Amerks won the cup in 96.
96 covered that too.
Okay. So like obviously for the last 14 years, it really hasn't been much to root for, but last night was the first time in a while following along to a game, felt something. I tucked my jersey in the side when I was playing hockey because I wanted to be Maxim Afinogenov. Like that was everything. So to see the reaction of that crowd leaving the arena on Sunday night brought back the memories. Like that was really cool. And again, I remember when Lindy got reintroduced as the head coach, like we went up there and I was like, 12-year-old Dan is freaking out. Like this is Lindy Ruff. Like this is, you remember the Ottawa Brawl and all of those games. I joked that was a UFC fight with a hockey game on the side.
If you want to make a Bills comparison, first of all, I tweeted out that I was very surprised Buffalo could win a crazy game against a good team without Josh Allen. And they did. It's kind of like in the NHL world, that game was Thanksgiving, Bills, Dallas.
Yes.
Now, the Thanksgiving NFL game is obviously massive, and it can't compare to the NHL. But the entire NHL took notice of the Bills.
And the Sabres. I agree with that 100%.
That was like, welcome. We're here.
Correct. It was, look at that arena. Look at the way they played. It was grit. It was toughness. It was skill. It was
8-7.
Nuts. So if you'd be interested in a Sabres video, because we have been following along, we've always talked that this is Buffalo Plus. It's not just Bills Plus. Like, this is the fan base.
It's pretty much Bills.
Right. But it was just something that we were, kicking the tires on, because I had said it's not a matter of if they're going to make the playoffs, it's how far will they go in it. So just throwing it out there.
You guys know, we work for a TV station. So while we're doing all our Bills content, we will be covering in some form what the Sabres are doing when they go into the playoffs. And
go.
Yeah,
a little Philly.
Anything else?
No. Anybody else sign right before we sign off?
Yeah.
But again, appreciate it as always. Comment in, like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate it. Hey, Buffalo Plus, for any of your life advice questions. We'll get into all of that, obviously, but free agency is the main focus. Good?
That's it. We're all good.
This hosting stuff's easy.
Piece of cake.
For Mike Catalana, I'm Dan Fates. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Jenna will be checking in from sunny Florida at some point this week as we wait for the Bills to make their moves in free agency. But for now, that'll do it for us here in the Connors and Ferris podcast studio. Thanks for watching and listening to the Buffalo Plus podcast.
Buffalo Plus.